Jessica, I think they've just been watching too much Gutfeld, is what it is. And Greg, but from Mike Pompeo, Ted Cruz, Mike Huckabee, even J.D. Vance, it's amazing what a beard and losing a few pounds will do for a middle-aged man. I mean,
yeah, totally. Well, it does cover up as things get saggier.
I mean, wouldn't you
good.
say that those men are very handsome, especially with a beard? I mean,
not everyone in that list is my type. I do like a beard. I think the JD Vance's beard has been good for him too. He wasn't always. He was, fresh faced, and then has the facial hair. But it makes sense. You're interviewing for the biggest job in the world. We all think about our outfits and how we present when we show up, for any job interview. And I think it's a good thing that also people are going to get healthier. I don't understand when you only have like 10 pounds to lose, the Ozempic thing, and then your face always tells the story. Like you kind of like cave in a certain way versus a natural weight loss way. But if you're getting healthier, good for you.
Kellyanne, this poll, I'm not a big fan of polls like this because it's like, how did they ask the question? Individual members of Congress may have really good numbers where Democrats in Congress don't. But, Republicans aren't great, but they're 35% in the same poll. So that's double the amount of approval that Democrats have.
There's no way to perfume the pig. I'm talking about, of course, the 18% congressional approval rating. That's abysmal, but the Democrats have earned it. And I think this entire discussion and what they're trying to do glow up for 2028, Joey, tells you why. The problem with the Democratic Party is not what they wear or how they look. It's how they think and what they believe. And that is completely unaligned and out of touch with America. You got so many of them still saying men and women's sports is fine. They said the border was closed. So there's no problem there. It wasn't closed. It was porous and wide open, and President Trump shut it down within months. And we have zero border crossings. They're fine with higher taxes and more regulations. They're fine with masks long after COVID is done. I think that the Democratic Party is so out of touch with some of their core constituencies. That's how President Trump won more Catholics and more union households and more Hispanics and African Americans and more young people. The list goes on and on. That was a direct rejection, not just of Kamala Harris, the ultimate out-of-touch person, but of an entire party that just has no connective tissue with you. Who's going to tell J.B. Pritzker? I guess me. The before and the after picture look exactly the same. So it wasn't even worth buying the Peloton or injecting your belly. And that's just not going to, a beard here and there is not going to cover up the fact that they covered up the lack of acuity, agility, ability, and honestly, cognition in a sitting president for 4 years. This party's got a lot of problems. They can't begin and finish a sentence without saying Trump, Trump, Trump 12 times in an 8-word sentence. And I'm just not buying it that this country is so shallow and so easily cowed that if you're going to look different and believe the same nonsense that's got Trump to win all 7 swing states and the popular vote, that somehow you're going to prevail in 2028 with this crew. I also don't think Alyssa Slotkin or AOC should grow facial hair.
Brian, I guess it's kind of like the messenger needs to not look sloppy, but really the message is probably what's most important.
I would think so. And I'll tell you, in terms of the look, the one who's got the look down is Newsom. That's authentically him. Like some people are like that. They know how to dress. They can do it casual. But the thing is, if you look at people that are successful, Bill Clinton looked the same way. He was a chubby guy when he was running. Look at George W. Bush. He was the same guy. John McCain ran for the White House. Barack Obama didn't change. He just ran as himself. The one thing I think they're missing, the one thing that President Trump has clarified is you have to be authentic to who you are. He didn't show up at the Iowa fair in a blue jean shirt and jeans. He showed up in a suit and a helicopter. So all he had to do, he's just himself. Guys, stop with the beard. Just be you. Be Pete Buttigieg, the gay mayor. Don't be the backwoodsman because you're inauthentic to who you are. You're a fat guy, the governor of Illinois. You're a heavy-set guy. Heavy-set guys can do well. Well, Chris Christie was a very good governor of New Jersey. So I don't get it.
Does it sound like one of those?
Didn't the president say he would never wear jeans? Or am I making that up?
Probably. But imagine if he did. You'd say, how inauthentic.
Yeah, why are you doing that?
I would also just say, though, as much as I would like to wholeheartedly believe that the message is all that matters, I would also say it is 2025, almost 2026. Everybody on planet Earth is trying to get a glow up because no matter, where you work, what you do, what industry you're in, you can't get away from social media. You can't get away from cameras. Everybody is evaluating everybody based on how they look. I don't like it. You might not like it, but sadly, it's just the reality. I think politics, I live in D.C. We have a reputation as being like the uglier version of Hollywood. People are
And
not
we're proud of
immune.
it.
We're proud of it. We're not
affordability?
trying to, but the point is that you gotta at least meet the baseline level to get elected today. That's the reality. I don't like it. I wish I could change it, but I can't.
Well, if nothing else, maybe the glow up is just a signal of who's serious about looking for that top job. I don't know.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.